The research base on Mars was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan, a young tech worker, was drinking his cold coffee when alarms started flashing. A ship just appeared. Out of nowhere. No ID, no signal. Everyone rushed to the landing bay. The ship opened. Slow and silent, and then she stepped out. Tall, pale skin, glowing red eyes. She looked like a ghost mixed with a goddess. No one could move. Then she spoke, her voice calm but cold. "I'm hunting the one who hurt me." Everyone turned to look around. But she didn't look at the soldiers. She didn't look at the commander. She looked straight at Ethan. Her eyes locked on him like she'd known him forever. And Ethan couldn't breathe. The sky above the Mars research base was always red and quiet. Nothing ever happened there. And that's how Ethan liked it. He was a simple tech guy, checking systems, cleaning screens, and fixing small problems. Life on the base was calm and slow. But that peace ended the day she arrived. It started when the sensors beeped. At first, the team thought it was a mistake. A ship was landing, but no one had called it. And it wasn't showing up on any official list. It didn't send a message. It didn't ask for permission. It just appeared. Ethan stood near the observation window, eyes wide. The ship was smooth and dark, shaped like a teardrop. It didn't look like any human ship. It didn't even look like something from this galaxy. The base commander gave orders to stand by. Security teams moved closer. No one fired. No one spoke. They were all waiting. The ship's door slowly opened. A long shadow fell on the floor as she stepped out. She was tall, with pale skin that looked like moonlight. Her hair was long and dark, almost floating as she walked. Her clothes were strange, part armor, part gown. But it was her eyes that made everyone stop moving. Red, bright red, glowing like embers. They were cold, calm, and old, as if they had seen many lifetimes. She didn't look afraid. She didn't run or hide. She walked slowly into the middle of the room. The air felt different, heavy, like something was coming. Then she spoke. "I'm hunting the one who hurt me." Her voice was soft, but it filled the entire room. No one answered. Everyone was frozen, unsure what to say. Some looked at the commander. Some looked at each other. Ethan, standing near the back, felt his heart begin to race. She turned her head. Her glowing eyes stopped right on him. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He didn't know her. He had never seen her before. Why was she looking at him like that? Like she knew him. He took a step back, but she stepped forward. The guards raised their hands, but the commander lifted his hand and told them to wait. She wasn't acting like an enemy. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just staring at Ethan. "You have his face," she said, still looking at him. Ethan opened his mouth but couldn't speak. His hands felt cold. His legs felt weak. "I don't know you," he finally said, his voice shaking. "You don't remember," she said. "But I do." Then, without another word, she walked past the others and sat on the floor. Folding her legs, she closed her eyes. Everyone looked at each other, confused. What was going on? The commander called for a full lockdown, just in case. No one could leave the base. Everyone had to stay inside. The strange ship was sealed. The woman didn't speak again. She just sat there, eyes closed, calm like she was meditating. Later that night, Ethan sat alone in his room. He tried to think, tried to remember. Why did she look at him like that? What did she mean by "you don't remember"? And what did she mean by "the one who hurt me"? Ethan had lived a normal life. He had no special training, no special history. He was just a tech worker on Mars, or at least, that's what he thought. But something in her voice had felt real, like she truly believed he had done something. Or maybe someone who looked like him had done something terrible to her in the past. He closed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. His head hurt. His chest still felt heavy. He didn't want to be part of anything strange or dangerous. But it was too late now. The next day, she was still there, sitting, waiting, watching. And every time Ethan passed her, her eyes followed him, like she was waiting for him to remember something he had forgotten, or something someone else wanted him to never remember again. The base felt different the next morning. The halls were quiet, but not in the normal way. Everyone walked slower, whispered more. Some avoided eye contact. It was like the air itself was holding a secret, one that no one wanted to say out loud. Ethan didn't sleep well. His dreams were filled with strange lights, floating voices, and someone calling a name he didn't recognize, Kayler. Every time he heard it in his dream, he felt a sharp pull in his chest, like a memory trying to rise but never fully coming through. When he stepped out of his room, he found two guards waiting. They didn't say much, only told him that the commander wanted to see him. Ethan followed, heart uneasy. In the command center, the large screen showed a quiet image of the alien ship still sitting outside. Untouched, the strange woman was now in the medical observation room, sitting in the exact same position, eyes open, but unmoving. She hasn't spoken again, the commander said, arms crossed. But she keeps watching you on the cameras. She doesn't blink when she looks at you. What happened yesterday? I don't know, Ethan replied honestly. I've never seen her before. I've never even been off Earth and Mars. The commander looked at him for a long time. Then he nodded slowly. We're not going to make any sudden moves. She's not hurting anyone. But she clearly came here for you. I think you should talk to her. Ethan felt a chill go down his back. A few minutes later, he was standing in the observation room. A glass wall separated him from her. She was still sitting quietly, but her eyes opened as soon as he entered. I don't know who you are, Ethan said, but you keep looking at me like we've met before. She didn't answer for a moment. Then, in a soft voice, she spoke again. You are not the same, she said, but you carry his memory. It's hidden, but I feel it. Ethan stepped closer to the glass. Whose memory? Kayler, she said. He was there, the day everything ended. He saw what happened. He knew what was taken from me. Ethan felt the name again in his mind. Kayler. This time it echoed louder than before. And for a second, the lights in the room flickered. A sharp pain ran through his temple, and he grabbed his head. What's happening to me? He asked. You. We're not meant to remember, she said gently. But your mind is waking. I don't want to hurt you. I only want to understand. I have searched for so long. Ethan leaned against the glass. I don't know how to help you. You already are, she said. You stayed. You listened. He sat down on the bench near the glass, still facing her. Why do you think I'm him? Because the stars don't lie, she said, her voice low and filled with something between sadness and hope. And because when I look at you, I feel the same silence I felt after he left. The room fell quiet again. Ethan didn't speak, neither did she, but something unspoken passed between them, a connection neither of them could explain. Over the next few days, Ethan was allowed more time to speak with her. She gave him her name, Velora. She was part of an old spacefaring race, now broken apart by secrets and betrayal. She said Kayler was once among them, a human, just like Ethan, who was welcomed into their world. But then something went wrong. A decision was made that broke trust, broke peace, and left her alone, wounded, and searching for the truth. Ethan listened carefully. Every word she spoke pulled more strange memories into his mind. Not clear memories, but feelings, colors, moments. The smell of alien flowers, the warmth of another world's sky, a promise whispered in the dark. None of it made sense, but none of it felt fake either. Ethan began to wonder, was he just remembering someone else's life, or had a part of him really lived it before? And outside the room, the stars waited, quiet and endless, holding answers no one had asked in a long, long time. The sun on Mars rose slowly, casting long shadows across the red dust outside the base. Inside, Ethan woke up earlier than usual. His sleep was filled with images again, not clear dreams, but flashes. A name whispered in the wind. A tall city made of glass and silver. A woman standing on a balcony, her eyes the same glowing red as Velora's, and always that strange name, Kayler. He sat up, his chest heavy. This wasn't just imagination anymore. Something was happening inside him, something deep. Later that day, the base scientist, Dr. Helen, called him into the med lab. She looked curious, but concerned. We scanned your brain patterns after your last session with her, she said. We're seeing something unusual. It's like part of your memory is shielded, covered by something. Ethan frowned. Covered by what? We don't know. It's not damage. It's more like a door that's locked from the inside. He looked at her, and she's the key. Dr. Helen hesitated. She might be. With permission from the commander, Velora was moved to a quieter room, one with soft lights and a more peaceful atmosphere. Ethan entered the room with a datapad in his hand, but he didn't open it. He just sat across from her. "You said you remember me," he said quietly. "But I still don't remember you." Velora opened her eyes slowly. "I do not expect. You too. Your mind was changed. Your name was changed. But your soul, your energy, it is still the same." Ethan leaned forward. "What happened to me?" Velora reached out her hand, not to touch him, but to hover close. "May I show you?" He nodded. She placed her hand just above his forehead, not touching, but close enough that he felt a strange warmth. Her eyes closed. Ethan closed his to dot suddenly. His thoughts weren't his own. He was no longer on Mars. He stood under two suns, there, light golden and soft, a strange world, green and full of life. Towering spires surrounded him. Creatures with long cloaks and glowing skin walked beside him, and next to him, smiling, was Velora, younger, happier, wearing a silver band around her wrist. She called him Kaler, and he answered. He remembered laughing with her under twin moons. He remembered long talks, strange music, and the feeling of belonging in a world that wasn't Earth. But then the memory changed. A meeting, tension, a group of humans standing in a hall, speaking fast, loud, Velora's face turning from joy to confusion. Then running, loud sounds, a gate shutting, his own voice saying, "I'm sorry," and her eyes, full of pain, staring at him as a door closed between them. Ethan opened his eyes and gasped. Velora pulled her hand back. Her face was calm, but her voice was soft. "Now you remember." Ethan stood up slowly. "That was me." "Yes," she said. "Not just a dream, not a vision. It was you, before your return to Earth. They changed your name. They changed your memories. But you were Kaler." He felt dizzy. "Why would they do that?" "To hide the truth," she replied. "You were the only one who knew what really happened. That the broken trust between our people was not caused by me. Someone else wanted the peace destroyed. You saw it. But your mind was sealed." Ethan walked to the small window, staring out at the red landscape. He felt like two people now, Ethan, the tech guy on Mars, and Kaler, the man from another world, from another life. He turned to her. "If what you say is true, then the people who did this to me still don't want the truth to come out." She nodded slowly. "Yes, and they are watching, even now." Ethan looked around the room, where the camera's still recording. Was someone listening on the other side? A silent thought passed through him. Maybe this wasn't just about memory. Maybe it was about stopping the truth before it woke up fully. And now that truth had started to rise, and it was rising through him. The days that followed were quiet on the surface, but Ethan felt the change growing inside him like a wave. He went through his usual tasks at the base, but his hands moved slower. His mind always somewhere else. Every time he passed a reflective surface, he paused. He didn't just see Ethan anymore. He also saw Kaler, a man from another time, a man who had walked in another world. Velora remained in the same quiet room. She didn't ask for much. She didn't demand answers. She simply waited. Her calm presence always watching, always patient. When Ethan visited her now, there was less tension between them. She no longer spoke as if he was a stranger. She spoke to him like someone who once shared something deep with her. "I know you didn't mean to leave," she said one afternoon, her voice soft. "You were pulled away. But I waited, because I believed you would come back." Ethan sat quietly, staring at the floor. "I don't even remember making that promise, but it still feels real." Velora closed her eyes, "Because part of you still kept it." Ethan had been digging through old bass records in his spare time, searching for any sign of when he might have been taken, when his memory might have been changed. One document caught his eye, a file that had been locked under his ID tag, but no one, not even the commander, remembered placing it there. The file contained medical logs from years ago, logs that mentioned brain pattern testing, memory, compression, language reset protocols. It looked like he had once been listed as part of an off-world diplomacy program, something not made public. His name wasn't Ethan back then, just a code, KLR7, KLR. When he showed the file to Valora, she didn't even blink. They tried to erase your story, but they forgot one thing. Memories tied to the heart are the hardest to hide. That night, Ethan sat alone in the base garden dome. It was the only place with plants, small trees from Earth kept alive by artificial light. He walked between the green leaves, trying to calm the noise in his head. That's when the commander found him. "We've received a message," the commander said. "From Earth, high clearance. They want her returned." Ethan looked up. "Returned where?" "They didn't say. Just that she's a risk, that she's manipulating you, that the longer she stays, the more danger you're in." Ethan felt a cold weight drop in his stomach. "They're wrong. She hasn't hurt anyone. She's only telling the truth." The commander lowered his voice. "I believe you. But if they're trying to hide something, you might be in more trouble then." "You think?" Later, Ethan went back to Valora. He didn't tell her about the message, not yet. Instead, he asked something that had been burning in his thoughts all day. "What happened after I left? That day, when I walked away?" Valora looked at him, her red eyes softer than ever. "There was confusion. My people believed I had helped the humans break the pact. I was blamed, left behind. And those who knew the truth were either silenced or vanished." Ethan leaned closer. "But you're not angry." "I was," she said. "But now, I only want the truth. If people knew what really happened, maybe peace could be possible again. Maybe I wouldn't be the only one still hoping." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then we need to show them. We need proof." Valora nodded. "The ship I arrived in still carries my records, and one last piece. Something I saved. A message you gave me long ago. I kept it safe, even when I thought I'd never see you again." Hope stirred in Ethan's chest. "Can I hear it?" "Soon," she said. "But only when you're ready." Outside, the stars continued to shine quietly in the sky. But on Mars, in that silent red dust, something ancient was waking. Not just a lost memory, but a forgotten truth that had waited patiently to return. And Ethan, once unsure of who he really was, now knew one thing with clarity. He hadn't just forgotten his past. Someone had made sure he couldn't remember it. But now, step by step, that past was coming back, and it had never been more important. The next morning brought a strange calm to the base, like the air itself was waiting. Ethan woke early, before the system lights fully lit the halls. His head was full of quiet echoes, memories that didn't feel like dreams anymore. They felt like moments he had truly lived. A silver tower, a farewell whispered beneath two suns, a name written in light. He walked alone to the docking bay where Valora's ship remained sealed. It had been untouched since her arrival. No one had dared step inside. He placed his hand near the surface, and to his surprise, the ship responded. A soft pulse of light moved across the smooth metal, and a small entrance opened. The base sensors didn't blink. It was as if the ship had been waiting just for him. Inside, the ship was quiet and dim. It didn't feel cold. It felt alive, as though it could hear his thoughts. Soft lights flickered as he moved through the narrow hallway. And then, in the center of the ship, a clear crystal floated in the air. As he reached out, it began to glow gently, and his voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, then I didn't make it back. Or maybe they changed me so much. I forgot who I was, but I remember you. I remember what they did. This message is for the future, for when the truth is needed again." Ethan felt his throat tighten. The voice continued. "The agreement between our worlds wasn't broken by her. It was broken by us. Not all of us, but someone powerful, someone who didn't want peace. I saw it with my own eyes, and they knew. I did. That's why they erased me." The message ended. Silence filled the ship once again. But inside Ethan's heart, something had changed. He wasn't just guessing anymore. He wasn't chasing shadows. Now he had proof. He brought the recording to Valora. When she heard it, her eyes closed for a long time, and when she opened them, they were softer than he had ever seen. Not glowing with anger, but shining with quiet relief. "I thought it was lost," she whispered. "You hit it well. It was meant to find you," Ethan said. "Even if I couldn't remember, some part of me knew." They brought the file to the base commander next. He watched it twice, then again in silence. When it ended, he leaned back in his chair and looked at Ethan. "You're going to have to make a choice," he said. "This file proves everything, but if we send it to Earth, the people who buried this truth may try to stop it. They won't want this reaching the public. You'll be putting yourself at risk." "I already was," Ethan replied, the moment I remembered. That evening, they prepared a secure message to Earth's central station. The file was encrypted and ready, but just before they sent it, a new message arrived. Short, direct, "Do not transmit, return the alien, end contact. Your orders are final." The commander frowned. "They're watching us closely, too closely." Ethan looked at the screen. He had a decision to make, and he knew now that this wasn't just about his past. This was about a story that needed to be told, a truth that had been hidden in the dark for too long. He stood and walked to Velora. "We're not sending it through their system. We'll send it your way. Your people deserve to know too." Velora nodded, "And they will listen if they know it came from you." They uploaded the file to her ship's system. It would travel far through space, through time delays, but it would reach her people, and with it, the memory of Kaler, of what he saw, of what was lost, of what might still be saved. Later that night, Ethan stood under the artificial stars in a garden dome, thinking about everything, about the name he once had, the promises he once made, and the woman who crossed stars just to find him. His life had once been quiet, small, simple, but now his story was part of something much bigger, and the truth was no longer hiding. It was flying through the stars, ready to be known. The ship launched at sunrise. No sound, no bright flames, just a soft hum as Velora's craft lifted from the red surface of Mars and disappeared quietly into the sky. Only a few people watched it rise, and Ethan stood among them, his eyes following until the ship was only a small light between the clouds and the stars. It wasn't just a ship carrying a message. It was carrying the truth, finally free. The file they had sent through her system was now moving beyond Earth's control, toward Velora's people, toward a world that believed she had been lost, and that Kaler had never kept his promise. But soon, they would know everything. They would see the truth from Kaler's own words, even if they came from Ethan's voice. Ethan stayed in the garden dome for hours after the launch. The trees, the soft lights, the silence had helped him think. He was no longer the same man who had once fixed control panels and counted days in routine cycles. The memories inside him, once locked, were now part of who he was. He didn't have every detail, but what he remembered was enough. Enough to understand why Velora had searched for him across stars. Enough to know the past couldn't stay buried forever. Later that evening, the commander asked to see him privately. They met in the observatory, where clear glass showed the endless sky. The commander looked older now, as if the weight of what they had done and uncovered had settled across his shoulders. "I've sent my own report," the commander said quietly. "Not the one they asked for. The real one." Ethan looked at him. "Won't that put you at risk?" "Maybe," the commander replied, "but some stories are worth the risk." Ethan nodded slowly. "Do you think they'll believe it?" "They may not want to," the commander said, "but the truth always finds a way to rise, even when people try to bury it." That night, Ethan returned to his room and stood by the small window, staring out at the stars. They looked the same as always, distant, beautiful, untouchable. But now, he didn't feel small when he looked at them. He felt connected, not just to the stars, but to everything that had happened before, and everything still to come. The next few days passed slowly. News from Earth was delayed, quiet. No one said much. It was like the world was holding its breath. But one morning, something changed. A message arrived not from Earth, but from a distant system. The language was translated slowly by the base's AI. The words were few, but clear. "We have received the memory. We have seen the truth. She is no longer alone." Ethan read the message 3 times. They believed her, and they believed him. Later that evening, as the red sun began to set, a final message came through the private line of Velora's ship. It was delayed by distance, distorted by space, but The voice was clear. It was hers. I have returned home. They listened. The silence is broken now. The truth you carried, it healed something in them and in me. Ethan closed his eyes and let her words settle in his chest. I do not know if our paths will ever meet again, but if they do, I will recognize you, no matter what name you carry. He smiled gently, the kind of smile that carries both peace and longing. Until then, Kaylor, be well. The message ended. The stars blinked softly in the sky above. The base returned to its calm routines, and Ethan, no longer just a technician, no longer just a man from Earth, walked through the halls with something new inside him. A memory returned, a promise kept, a future quietly waiting to begin.